Hi everybody. We're going to talk about section 2.2 today. And it's going to be more graphs and displays. We've already talked about some, and we're going to talk about some more. And then we're going to talk about how it relates to current events and how to understand stuff. So we're going to talk about stem and leaf plots and dot plots, pie charts and Pareto charts, and scatter plots and time series charts. And you'll notice quantitative data, right? That's about numbers for these. Qualitative, that's categories. And then paired data debts. That's if you have example in a time series chart, maybe it's days of the month and the weather each day, the temperature, or scatter plots where maybe you talk about how long you've been awake and some other awesome thing I can't think of, how much YouTube you watch, right? Two different things and you're comparing them. So first thing we're talking about is stem and leaf. This is quantitative. And remember, quantitative means categories. Sorry, numbers. My bad. Absolute opposite of what it means, right? Quantitative means numbers. And so stem and leaf plots, these are super easy. If this was your data, if this was the answers that you got about something, the original data values, then stem and leaf is just a quick way to organize it. And it tells you that your original data had 21 as an answer, 25 as an answer, 25 as an answer, 26, 27, and 28 as an answer. It also had 30, 36, 36, and 45 as an answer. In this example, the stem over here on the left is the tens value. This is 20s, 30s, and 40s. And it's just a quick way to organize data. And if we're going to go through their example here, they have asked 50 people how many text messages they sent in a day, and these were the 50 people's answers. And so they went through and said, okay, the data entries go, the lowest on here was 16. So I don't even see that on here. I see 19. Oh, there's the 16 that they're talking about. That's the smallest number. And the highest number on here, this is the biggest one for sure, at 149 messages per day, text messages a day. I know that's that's got to be a teenager. That's not some old lady like me. I'm more probably in the 30 range, 20s and 30 ranges a day. And you're going to use the ones place as what's called the leaf, and the left side, this 7, this 12, this 6, that's how we're going to do what's called the stem. And you put the stems in order from your smallest to your highest. So it looks like the smallest on here, we said the smallest number was 16. So my smallest stem is going to be a 1, and my biggest stem is going to be a 14. Okay? So then you just write 1 through 14. And then you go through all the numbers and you write them down. So 16 is here, 19 is here. Now, this is beautiful and awesome, and it shows you all the data, but you have to give an answer key, a legend, a code, if you will, to explain what the heck this means. Because a 1 on one side of this line and a 6 on the other could mean 16, or it could mean 1,600, or it could mean 1,600,000. So you have to give this key or this legend or this code that describes what these numbers mean. And so you pick any number on here you want, and then you tell what it means. So they picked this one down here, 10, and then the line 2, and they said 10 line 2, 10, and then this line 2 means 102. Okay. So from this information, the beauty of this is that you can quickly tell some stuff. You can look at this and go, whoa, most of these answers were down here, right, from 16 to 89. And then there were a few answers up here. And it says that more than 50% of the cell phone users, how do they know 50% were between 20 and 50? Well, here's 20, and here's 49, right? So 50 would be right above it. So how do they know this is 50%? Well, they just count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And then that's another 10, so 20, right? There's 20. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Wait, 1, 2. Oh, wrong buttons. My bad. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So this has 26 out of the 50 answers, right? 26 out of the 50 answers. So you can real quickly go, oh, more than 50%, more than 25 people answered between 20 and 50 answers, which gives you a lot of data pretty quick. Now there's other fancy ways to do stem and leaf plots, and we're not really going to worry about those, but you can split each one into the first 5 numbers and then the second 5 numbers. So basically 10 through 15 and 16 through 19 kind of a thing. And I mean, you can do that, but you don't have to, where it just splits this up. It makes it a little bit longer, but it does show you where more information, it gives you more details, but it's not important. Dot plot. We've already done one of these in our class. No big deal, right? If this was your data, then you write down all the answers, all these answers from 21 or 20 all the way up to at least 45. And then you just put a little dot above every time you get that answer, right? We did this when we rolled the dice. So in this example, there's 121 answer. There's 2 people that answered 25. 1 person answered 26. 1 person answered 27. There's 128. There's 130. 2 people that answered 36, and then 1 that said 45. This is one of the simplest ones to do. You just write down all the answers you got and everything in between, because the point here is that you see the gaps. We want to see the gaps. This is like a histogram, but with gaps, okay? And so here's an example where they got all their answers that we just did a minute ago, exact same answers from the text messages, but a different way to organize the data. Instead of having the stem and leaf, they've got this where they write down all the answers. So the smallest number was 16, so we're going from 15, and the biggest number is 149, so we're up to 150. And then you just put a dot everywhere you see an answer. Because there's so many, it's kind of hard to tell, right, exactly what this one represents. So it's less about details on a dot plot with this much information and more about seeing patterns, right? Where you can kind of quickly see, all right, most of my data is down here. That's a quick way to see where your information is. And that's why we like dot plots. And in this one, it says you can see that most data entries occur between 20 and 80. They say between 20 and 80. And then there's a few out here. And you can also tell that this one kind of stands out by itself, which might make it what's called an outlier. But it's definitely an unusual piece of information. It stands out. There's a big gap between that and the rest of these. When we're talking about qualitative or category answers, pie charts are awesome. And they're really good because they give you, it's a real quick visual, but it's telling you the percent of a whole answer. It's not giving you, like if I see this and it says 65 here, it's not telling me 65 people answered that. It's saying 65% of the whole group answered that. And each little pie chart is a different category, and usually there's a color that helps. People like to make them colorful, although they don't have to. This is the area of each sector is proportional to the frequency of each category. So a bigger chunk of the graph means there were a bigger percent of the people doing that, answering that question in that way. So to construct a pie chart. To make one, well, first of all, you look at your answers. So here's the categories. The number of earned degrees in thousands in 2014 are shown. So Ms. Flannery has a bachelor's and 2 master's degrees. So this is about in the year 2014. So they're saying how many people got these type of degrees that year. So 1,003 times 1,000 got an associate's degree. And that's what this little hint here is, in thousands. So down here it's a little bit easier to read. 754,000 people, right? It only says 754 because they don't want to write all the zeros. They got a little lazy. 754,000 people got a master's degree. 178,000 people got a doctoral degree. So when we do our pie chart, we've got to figure out, okay, well, this number is what percent of the whole group. So first thing you have to do is add all these up, right? 1,003 plus 1,870 plus 754 plus 178. That's going to be one of the first things you have to do. And they're talking about how you're going to have to then calculate the right degrees, but we're probably going to use Google Sheets or some other pie chart maker instead of doing it by hand. So this won't be much of the work we have to do. So the thing that we're going to focus on is figuring out the relative frequency or the percent, right? So here's the frequency. To figure out the relative frequency, we take 1,003 divided by the total number here. Okay, so if you add those 4 numbers up, let's see, I think I've got my calculator handy. If I can pull it up real quick. This is a calculator that's in your computer, by the way. But 1,003 plus 18, whoops, try this again. 1,003 plus 1,870 plus 754 plus 178. And see how much that equals. Okay, so then to figure out the percent, how they got this 0.264, they said 1,003 divided by that total, 3,805. That's where they got this 0.264, 0.26, and then they rounded this up to 4 because the 6 is big. Then they did that with each one. 1,870 divided by the total. So that's where this 0.491 comes from. Divided by the total. Oops. 754 divided by 3,805. And that's where this 0.198 comes from, and you get the idea. So the cool thing about the websites we're going to use is they would do a lot of this angle part for us. We won't have to stress about it. But you would think that this 0.491, right, which is almost 0.5, almost a half, should be almost a half of the whole circle. Okay, so this is kind of a quick way to see, and it puts the percents in there for you. A Pareto chart is a super cool kind of chart. It's basically like a histogram, but not. It's qualitative or quantitative. They can use it for either one, but it's bar graphs and there can be space in there. But the important part is the order that you put them bars in. You would always put the biggest one on the left side and then the next smallest and then the next smallest and the next smallest. So it's not about the numbers across the bottom going in an order. It's about the categories across the bottom, and the one with the most answers goes out front.